Late-night streets were dim and almost silent, with only a few scattered lights glowing under the pale sky. In the middle of that quiet city, an old taxi rolled slowly along the road. Its engine rattled softly, as if carrying the weight of years of struggle. Inside sat a poor taxi driver named Rashid, a man who had never known luxury in life, but whose heart remained rich with kindness and honesty. He had been working since early morning, yet the day had not gone well for him. Passengers were few, fares were low, and his worries were many. His young daughter was sick at home, waiting for medicine he could not afford, and each passing hour made him more anxious. But despite the hardships, Rashid continued to drive, hoping for just enough work to take home something meaningful. As he approached a deserted intersection, Rashid noticed an elderly woman standing alone under a flickering streetlight. She looked tired, cold, and confused, holding a small bag tightly against her chest. Rashid slowed down and pulled over, rolling down the window to ask if she needed a ride. The old woman hesitated before speaking in a soft, trembling voice. She explained that her husband had been admitted to the hospital after suddenly falling ill, and she needed to reach him as quickly as possible. When Rashid told her the estimated fare, she lowered her eyes and confessed that she didn't have enough money. She offered the small amount she carried, apologizing repeatedly, saying it was all she had. Rashid looked at her with gentle eyes. He had seen enough suffering in life to recognize genuine pain, and he knew that in this moment, money mattered far less than compassion. Without another thought, he unlocked the door and asked her to sit comfortably. He assured her that she didn't have to worry about the fare. The old woman sat down, her eyes welling with tears of gratitude. She whispered a heartfelt prayer for him as the taxi began moving toward the hospital. The journey was quiet, broken only by the soft breathing of the old woman who kept murmuring prayers and the distant hum of the city. Rashid drove calmly, thinking about how sometimes life brings strangers together for reasons only kindness can explain. When they finally reached the hospital, the old woman thanked him again, placing her frail hand on his arm and offering more prayers than words. Rashid simply smiled and told her to take care of her husband. He watched her walk slowly inside before restarting the engine and heading back into the night. He had barely driven a few minutes when a well-dressed man waved for the taxi. The man looked tense and in a rush. As soon as he sat inside, he explained that he had missed his booked transport and urgently needed to reach the airport for an international meeting. Without hesitation, Rashid agreed and began driving swiftly yet safely. The man kept checking his watch, clearly worried, and Rashid, understanding the urgency, chose the fastest routes he knew. Throughout the ride, the man was impressed by Rashid's calmness and professionalism. When they reached the airport, he looked relieved. As he paid the fare, he added extra money, far more than Rashid expected. The man said the driver had saved his day and insisted he take the additional amount as appreciation for helping him reach on time. Rashid tried to refuse, but the man pushed the money into his hand with a firm smile and hurried toward the terminal. Rashid sat quietly for a moment, stunned. The unexpected amount was more than what he had hoped to earn all day. As he drove home later that night, his eyes filled with emotion. He realized that the kindness he had shown to the old woman had returned to him in a form he never imagined. The universe has its own way of rewarding goodness, often when least expected. When Rashid reached home, his wife greeted him with a tired but hopeful look. He placed the money in her hands and told her that they could finally buy their daughter the medicine she needed, along with groceries for the coming days. His wife's eyes filled with tears of relief, and she hugged him tightly, whispering her own prayers of gratitude. Their sick daughter, lying on a small bed, gave a weak smile when Rashid sat beside her. He gently stroked her hair, grateful that he could now provide for her needs. That night, after everyone had eaten and the house had grown quiet, Rashid sat alone near the window. He looked up at the sky, thinking about the events of the day. He remembered the old woman's trembling voice, her heartfelt prayers, and the man at the airport who handed him such a generous amount. He realized that kindness flows like a circle, whatever you give eventually makes its way back to you. It might not return immediately or in the same form, but it always finds its path. As he closed his eyes, he felt a deep sense of peace. Life had taught him many lessons, but this day had reminded him of the most important one: kindness is never wasted. Even a small act of compassion can create ripples that touch lives in ways we cannot imagine. Rashid went to bed that night with a heart full of gratitude and a renewed belief that goodness still exists in the world, and that a single kind gesture can change the course of a day, a life, or even a destiny.